Welcome back to the Music Bar Podcast, episode 55. It's here, just in time for the end of the year. It's going to be quick. There's a few things in the news that I want to talk about in the music scene. I want to give you my album of the year, but I also want to touch base on something else after that, just quickly. So, first up, let's get into some news that's been interesting to me, and hopefully you. Sammy Hagar has come out, and he's announced a tour called The Best of All Worlds. So he'll be playing songs from his solo career, from Montrose, Van Halen, and also Chickenfoot. And they'll be doing other things as well, because they've got Jason Bonham playing drums, so probably some Led Zeppelin most likely. But what I don't like about this whole story is the hate again. People just can't get over the fact. Yes, we all know Edward Van Halen is not around anymore, and Alex has just basically become a hermit. So people are saying there's no Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen, and we all agree, and I'm sure Sammy Hagar agrees to that as well. But he isn't touring under the Van Halen banner. He's touring under Sammy Hagar, and you have to remember, he was in that band for 4 great albums, and Michael Anthony was in the band from the very beginning till 2004, when Wolfgang replaced him. So these two guys have a right, as far as I'm concerned, to sing their own songs. And they brought Joe Satriani on into the band, who's part of Chickenfoot, with them anyway, to sing some of the songs from the Roth era, or play some of the songs from the Roth era, and Michael Anthony will actually sing those, not Sammy Hagar so much. And that'll be the time when Sammy Hagar, we actually said in an interview, he'll go off behind the scenes, have a drink while they're singing some of those songs from the Roth era. And I think that's great. Just like Pantera did, they didn't try to come out as Pantera. They come out as a tribute to the brothers and to the music. And if we don't let other people, especially people who are in the band, play their own music, then this music that Van Halen has recorded for all these years just dies. So you won't get any new fans if you don't play it live. And I think it's amazing that they are doing this, and I think it's amazing that Michael Anthony can do this, and he sings so well. I've watched him recently on some shows singing some songs from the Roth era, and his voice is just amazing. So it's going to work under that banner, and Sammy Hagar can afford to do this, and why not? So that's one thing I wanted to talk about quickly. I really hope, I don't think they will, but I do hope they will tour Australia. As you know, I went to LA recently to watch Wolfgang, Pantera and Metallica. I won't be travelling anymore overseas to see bands. I've done my farewell tour, so to speak. But unless I'm going somewhere and something's playing, I might go see them. But I really hope that Sammy Hagar brings this tour over to Australia. It will be phenomenal. Joe Satriani, you can ask and debate. I mean, you can debate as much as you like if he's a right guitar player for this. I personally thought Phil X would probably be better, but because they're playing Chickenfoot and Led Zeppelin and these other things, and he's part of Chickenfoot anyway, why not? Bring him on. You've been friends for years, you might as well. So, and he can do it. He'll learn it, and it'll sound okay. That's one thing I wanted to mention. The other thing is, which I think was a gift to me actually from these guys I'm about to talk about. They knew deep down how I felt about this, so they decided to bring back Mike Portnoy, the original drummer, founding member of Dream Theater. He's back in the band. Mike Mangini is now gone. No hard feelings between them all. I personally believe that Mike Mangini would have thought that one day Mike Portnoy would return to the fold. And when I saw already John Petrucci play record his solo album, and he asked Portnoy to join him on that and play drums, and then they went and did their other project, Terminal Velocity, and that came out. So that was 2 albums already that John had been part of with Mike Portnoy. I thought things were mending. The band-aid was coming off, so to speak. And lo and behold, just about a month or more, 2 months ago, bang, the news is out that Mike Portnoy's back in the band. Which makes me happy because I haven't really liked anything they've recorded since he left. And the reason being, not that Mike Mangini can't play can't play drums. He's a great, phenomenal drummer. But for the writing, it's like taking, Paul McCartney out of the Beatles and trying to write a song. It's like that kind of scenario. I think Mike Portnoy and John Petrucci worked really, really well together. And once he was gone, he worked more with Jordan, and things were missing a little bit. So I'm really happy that Mike Portnoy is back in the band, and I can't wait for the new album to come out, whenever that may be. Other than that, I've had a listen to the new. I've had a few comments in the past 2 months about my hate of Vince Neil and from Motley Crüe. And I don't hate Vince Neil. I just think he's not up to scratch 100% to be the frontman of this band that's been around for so long. I wish he would get healthier for his own sake and for his band's sake. I wish he would get some help with his voice so he can sing a lot more, because his voice is very unique, and Motley Crüe works really well with his voice being at 100%. Yes, we're all aging, but he can work on it and get better than what he's doing. I've seen footage. The footage isn't good of him singing. He speaks a lot more, and the 2 females, backing dancers who have microphones in their hand and do a lot of the backing vocals, they sing a lot of the lines that Vince should be singing. So it's kind of sad to watch. I'd rather them come out and record new material, whatever they're going to do soon, I think, and tour 100% healthy and fit and voice in the best possible scenario, I guess you could say. So I don't want to see Vince Neil replaced, because then it won't be Motley Crüe. They did it with John Corabi, which I love that album, but he had a different voice again. So if you have John Corabi back in, you miss out on so many classics. So I don't want Vince to get kicked out, but I do want to see him get better, healthier, run around a bit more on stage, be Vince Neil, but also sing better for the fans and for his bandmates, to be honest, because the criticism's there from everybody. And in saying that, Mick Mars obviously released his album recently. Well, his album comes out later, but 2 songs now have come out. Loyal to the Lie and Right Side of Wrong. Both songs are probably what you expect from Mick Mars. Nothing too outrageous. The singer's got a good voice, but kind of generic to that kind of rock. If you listen to the music, though, it's very Mick Mars, the guitar playing, I feel. But I do like it. It's something to listen to. It's new. I enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the album coming out. So yeah, that was actually quite a nice little surprise. The new song, Right Side of Wrong, is pretty good, pretty cool. And then we've got the album of the year. Now, I've struggled with this for a long time, thinking about what I would do. So I narrowed it down at least to 3 albums that I had on my phone, listening to every day, kind of thing. I did that whole. I'm not on Spotify. I'm on Apple Music, so I did the whole Wrapped thing. Figure out how many songs you listen to via that. And I wasn't surprised by the outcome, to be honest, but my song or album that I listened to the most was Metallica 72 Seasons. I had 96 plays of Inamorata the last song of the album was 72 Seasons. So I played that 96 times, that one song. That goes for 13 minutes. That's my number one song via Apple Music. I played 72 Seasons, the opening track, 603 times. The album 72 Seasons, I played that 603 times. So I did listen to the album a lot. And don't forget, I drive a truck for a living, so I'm in the truck for 8-9 hours a day. I can listen to music and podcasts all day long, and that's where I got my 603 plays of that album. And don't forget too, the album came out in April, and I probably haven't listened to it since September. So that's a lot of listening to 72 Seasons in that time slot. All up, 11,980 minutes of Metallica, 72 Seasons. So I looked at my top artists, and my top 5 was by a long shot Metallica. I listened to Metallica nearly 4,000 minutes. The next band I listened to was Extreme, and when I'm talking Extreme, I'm really only talking the new album 6. I did probably listen to a few older songs here and there once in a blue moon, but I really did concentrate on the new album 6. And then after that, Avenged Sevenfold, their new album. And then, no surprise to most of you, Belinda Carlisle, and then Mastodon. To wrap up the top 10, Black Sabbath, Mammoth, Sleep Token, Laura Wilde, the Melbourne girl in the band who now lives in, or solo act, who now lives in LA, and then Van Halen, number 10. And number 11, System of a Down, 12, Pantera, 13 was Tremonti, so not Creed, not Alter Bridge, but Tremonti. 14 was Hillsong. Yep. And then 15 was a lady called Taya, who released an album out, and she actually is one of the singers from Hillsong, which I really enjoy listening to. Especially the song, I did a podcast on this, well, not a podcast. I did a Get On It about the song Oceans that I found on YouTube with Hillsong, and that was during the time when my mother passed away, and I listened to it, and even now, I'll still put that Oceans song on. It's a live version of it on my phone when I'm driving around. Sometimes you feel like listening to something that reminds you of your mother or reminds you of other things in life and makes you feel a little bit happier than you might be during the day. But that's my top 15. But to say album, which was my favourite album of the year, I have to say, because I listened to it so much, I'd have to say Metallica is my favourite album of the year. But in saying that, I found Extreme, number 6, one of the best written, lyrical, musicality albums out for a very long time from a lot of bands. I sing along to a lot of those songs in the truck when I'm driving, but not all their songs I listen to every time. Where with Metallica, I can listen to the start from 72 Seasons all the way through without stopping it or missing a song, skipping the song, because I actually like every song on the album. The more I heard it, the more I like it. Where with Extreme, there's a couple of songs on there which I'm not a big fan of. But again, when it comes to musicality, I find Extreme have that over Metallica, because the harmonies in these songs from Extreme are just amazing. And I love hearing those during the day. And even little melodies that, the way that Gary or even Nuno sing some of these songs, I just find just so beautiful. So depending on my mood, I'd have to go with which is what I listen to that day. And Avenged Sevenfold, I'm a big fan of them. Have been for a long time. This album though, and I'm only saying this because the lead singer said this, it's a concept album in a way. And I found this album at first really hard to listen to. But in the end, when I listened to it a few times over and over again, then I heard M Shadows, the singer, talk about it and where they were coming from. I find this album really interesting, and that's what I like about it. So my top three that I listen to are Metallica, Extreme, and Avenged Sevenfold, and I'd probably say the top three albums of the year are those three for me, in that order. And again, I've been in a truck one day when I don't want to listen to Metallica at all, and I'm happy to listen to Extreme or even Avenged Sevenfold. So, but overall, I found the most consistent album for me this year was Metallica, and that's my album of the year for that reason alone. But I'll tell you what, those other two are so good. It's a very close 1, 2, and 3. I'll tell you that right now. That's it about music. So I think I mentioned a while back, I went to Japan, came back from Japan, and felt like something had changed in me. And in saying that, it's about the music side of it and the podcast side of it. I haven't been really interested in doing this because I don't really I haven't lost the love of music, but I have lost the love of trying to tell people about it. And to be honest with you, I started this podcast with Dan, who was in this show with me for at least half of it until the beginning of this year. And I found the social side of that more fun than just sitting here talking about this by myself. So, unfortunately, Dan got really sick and he hasn't been able to come back, and that's just nothing you can do about that. But I've lost interest because I like the social side of it. I like talking to Dan about music. We always have done. I've known each other for 30 years, and or 20 years to 25 years. But with the change I had in myself when I came back from Japan, would you believe I've been decluttering? I've been selling so much Metallica memorabilia I've had a skateboard that I had for 20 odd years, 30 odd years, just sitting around wrapped up still. I sold that on finally and gave it to a guy who has 30 skateboards from Metallica, and I had a guy from Sweden with the same amount of skateboards wanting it because it was pretty rare. I've sold box sets. I've still got these three up here. But I've sold other box sets, Binge and Purge and Death Magnetic. I've sold fan cans from Metallica. I've got Pantera's CD signed by the original band members back from Far Beyond Driven tour up for sale. I've sold a signed jersey from Metallica from all four members. I've sold a whole album, Saint Anger album signed by the band. Been selling so much stuff, decluttering, not only musical things but other things from the garage, and just trying to declutter. But I've come to the realization I don't need these things anymore in my life. I'm 51 years old and just want to start an minimalisation, I guess, just making things a little bit easier to move from house to house, and some things not really that important to me anymore. And that also includes the podcast. It doesn't really fit with me very well, sitting here talking about Metallica and Van Halen and all this. I still love them. I always will like them. But I don't really have the... I don't really want to talk about it to other people anymore. I'm not interested. Doesn't really bother me. There's so much going on in the world right now that I don't think what I say is important. And for me, I've got better things to do right now. Looking after my family, my son just turned 6, spending time with him. So Christmas was amazing. I hope everyone had a great Christmas, and I hope everyone has a happy new year as well. Who knows what 24 will bring us. But I don't know if I'll be back next year. If I am back next year, it'll probably be different to this format. I don't want to be doing this by myself again. And so I will be signing off today saying farewell and thank you to everybody for watching my podcast and Dan's podcast for the time it's been going on. I had a great time with Dan. I've had fun doing a certain few episodes on my own, but the heart isn't in it anymore. And if I do come back, I will come back on Instagram and let people know that I'm back. and explain what I'm going to be doing, because I've got other ideas at the moment. But if I do come back, I'll let you know exactly when on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll explain what I'm doing and the new format, whatever it's going to be. But other than that, with the Music Bar podcast right now, this will be the final episode. So thank you to everybody for watching and subscribing and likes. Please don't just wipe the subscription away. Keep it so you do get information if I do come back. If I'm not back by June next year, then wipe it. But I also like to thank quickly before I do go, Dan. I had a lot of fun with Dan. I thought we were a great team. I'm so sad he got sick and couldn't come back to the show. And who knows what's going to happen in the future. But I want to thank him for his time and his musical knowledge, which he's like an encyclopedia. And thank you very much, Dan. Hope you had a great Christmas, and I hope you have a great New Year, and I'll see you around sometime anyway and talk to you. But that now is done. So like and subscribe. No, just kidding. Anyway, thank you all. It's been great, and I've had a lot of fun doing it, and it's time for it to end. Cheers. Rock on.